Hi and welcome back. In this section we are going to add an extra column over here where we can have a set of actions. In particular we will add the edit action and the delete action. Let's do first the delete action. As I told you at the end of the previous section, the edit action will be our assignment. So, to add an extra column here, we can make use of the snippets here that are provided by us, the LifeRaid ID. Actually, to handle the code or the view of this new column, we will use the search container column JSP. What this tag is doing is allowing us to import another JSP page that contains the code for that column. You'll see why in a second. So the important thing to put here are the path. Path will refer to the path where the new JSP page can be found. So in our case it will be /html/job management / let's call job actions.jsp. This page doesn't exist at the moment, but we're going to create it in a moment. The other option can be interesting is again name. Name is the name of the column, so let's call it actions. So let's enter it. Okay. So we need to create a new job action JSP here. So we go in the job management folder and create a new file called job actions.jsp. Okay, let's go back here, let's save it, and we try to refresh the page. Not sure if we'll complain already, but we can try. No, alright, it's working, but of course the column is empty because there is nothing inside the job actions.jsp. So let's fill it. The job action JSP need to contain other LifeRay UI elements. So what we want to use is called icon menu, because we want to let me show the slide. We want to create this kind of buttons. Clicking these buttons will show sub buttons. So that's the icon menu UI. So let's go to icon menu here. All right. We don't put anything here. And inside here we will add two buttons, one for edit and one for delete. So let's use the icon, and there are some predefined icon, one for edit, and we put also the message. The message will be edit, and the last one will be the URL, but we'll provide it in a second, because we need to create a new URL that is the URL where there will be the action method that will handle this action. In our case we are going to create a edit action and a delete action. And the second one is for delete. Actually we can use the icon again, but there is already a icon delete Taglib that needs to be provide only the URL. Alright, so let's insert them and see what happens. Probably we're gonna get an error. Let me see. Yes, not error, but nothing happens. That's why we need to import the proper taglib. As you can see here, Eclipse is going to give us some warning. So let's import the taglib. You already know that we have this nice snippet here, the taglib import, and in particular at the moment we need to import the LifeRay UI taglib. Alright, so now what we have, what is wrong here, what did it say? Okay, this is missing some URL, so we want already URL, and we can put, oh, what's wrong here? Equal, at the moment, let's put and we forget this. Right, let's refresh it. Great, so as you can see here we have the two actions, edit and delete. So let's complete the delete action. So instead of pointing to this fake URL, let's create a new action URL. Already we know how to do that, so we use the portlet, but we need to import first. The portlet taglib here. Alright, we need to define some mandatory objects, and then we'll create an action URL. The action URL will have a name and we'll have a var. So the name is deleteJob or deleteJob, while the var will be the delete URL. So we can put here our delete URL. Delete URL to string, so we can convert it. Fine. So we define this URL, and we say, okay, let's call this deleteJob action method in our portlet controller. Actually, let's create it first. Let's go to the job management portlet, and we need to create one action method, public void deleteJob. Let's remember that we need action request, action response, and this will throws IO exception and portlet exception. Alright, need to change this. Let's go back to the job action. Actually, it is empty. So we have a issue to solve, because if we click on delete here, we need to pass some information to the action method about the rows that the row that we are trying to edit or delete. So we need to add a parameter to our action URL. As you remember, we have already used the portlet param tag. We can give a name, let's call it job ID, and then we need to give some value. So probably we need to give the value of the ID. If you remember, when we define the job, we set an ID, a progressive ID that is incremented every time we add a new job. So we need to retrieve from the current row this ID and pass it here, let's say 3 or 4 or something else. So how we can retrieve this? So we will make use of some Java code here in our JSP that will allow us to retrieve the current result row. So we have into the request object. The request object is here because we use the portlet to define objects. We need to call the get attributes. And the get attributes, we will pass a special keys called web keys that web keys search container, I guess is result row, that give us the current row. And let's have it somewhere, result row, I call it row. Let's cast it result row. Alright, we need to import result row. Let's see if it's able to find it. No, so let's import it manually. I understand why sometimes it works fine. So page imports com life_ray portal kernel should be here somewhere. Result no DAO dot search result row. Here it is. And then call from this the get objects method, and this will retrieve a job as we know, and we'll save it into a job. Alright, and finally we need to have an int with the job ID that it will be the job get ID. Job should need to be imported to page import it infn.ct Sci-GaIA .job. Fine. And here we need the comma. Okay. So let me remember what job ID is giving you back. Job is going to give us back an integer that we need to convert actually to a string, because value is a string. So we need to call the integer that toString, and let's make it this as a string. Okay, so here we can pass the job ID. Alright, just to check that this code is working fine, let's put a log inside the delete action method. So deleteJob into the job management portlet. So we can just say log, and let's take the parameter first. It will be as usual string job ID equal param util get param or get string, right? As string, and use request, and then the name will be job ID. Let me check if job ID with capital I or, and no, it's typo with capital I. And let's print log.word job ID equal plus job ID. Oh, why is complaining? Sorry, it's not log, but it was already initialized to log. Let's redeploy the portlet. Sometimes it's not synchronized immediately. No, it was working. Just need to wait just some seconds. Copying file. We need to. Alright, portlet is able to use. Let's go back to our portlet. Okay, session is empty. Let's create people. Let's put something. Add action, delete. If we do annulla means cancel. Oh, sorry, it's in Italian. Nothing happens, but if we do delete and we press OK, so we should get back job ID. We made a mistake. It's silly mistakes actually, because we just pass it the string job ID instead of passing the value of job ID. That's the typical error of JSP programming. So, but let's see if it works this time. Action, delete. Alright. Okay, we need to redeploy, or at least reload the portlet. Action, delete. Job ID 0. It's working fine. Let's add one more. Pippo 2. Workflow bin Pippo 2. Add. Alright. Delete. Okay. No. What's wrong? Delete. Okay. Job ID is still 0. That's not good. Always 0. So there is some mistake here. Let me check what is going on. So let's check where the ID is set. As you remember, we set ID 0 here, and then we pass it here. The problem is that we forget to increment the ID every time a new job is created. So let's put here ID++. And now let's see if the ID are getting incremented. So let's create a new test3. It's test3 but ID 1, because the first two are just 0. Test3, and let's add it. Alright, actually it's reload the page, so it should be 0. Let's delete. Okay, and the code is job ID 1. Yeah, because the instance of the class was already made, but the session has been expired. So I've put some log code here to see what happens. just plain old println to print out the job title with the job ID. But let's comment here out. Alright, so now it should work fine. People, at least it's incremented. Alright, action delete, okay. Alright, job ID 2, so it's working fine. So let's complete the implementation of the deleteJob method. So let's go down and we need to finish this. So once we have this job ID, what we need to do, we need to retrieve again the portlet session and read the job list attributes that contains job list array list. Then look for the job with job ID. Then remove it, remove that job and update again the job list and save into the portlet session. So to do the portlet session, we already know, we have done several times already. So portlet session, we ask to the action request, and it we call request that get portlet session. Alright, and from this portlet session we need to retrieve the attribute job list. So session that get attribute job list. We need to save this in our local array that we call job list, and it's always better to make a cast here, array list of job. Nice. Or what we miss here, one extra error. That's it. Nice. Now it's time to look for the job with the job ID that's we retrieved here. We need to make use of for and say for job into job list, and we check if the current job get ID is equal to, let's convert this to int, parse int of job ID. Alright, if this is the case, let's remove it. Job list, remove job. And we find it, if we find the job, we just break the loop. So we actually did it here. And finally, we need to save back the session, the new job list with updated with the missing job into the session list. So we again call session.set attributes, and we pass it the name of the attributes and its value, job list. Alright, so remember that after the action method is executed, then the render phase is again called. So we should just get the proper list. Let's redeploy the portlet so we can get rid probably of the previous session values and start with an empty array list. Alright, so as empty, so we call test job 1, test job 1, and test 1, add job 2, test job 2, parametric, today, then test 2. So let's try to delete the job number 2, delete, okay. Let's see what's happened here. Alright, I guess that we passed the wrong input string number for input. There is a problem with conversion. Let's see if the log job id 2, this is the log here. Released. We have to find out where the portlet job management job 2. So the error that we have seen is related to the fact that we made another silly error. We passed the job ID as a string instead of passing the job ID variable. So this should fix our problem. So let's add again test 1, bin test 1, add, and then test 2, bin test. Alright, let's delete test 2, delete, okay. Yes, we have job ID 2, and actually the job has been deleted correctly. Let's delete also this one. Let's add a new one. Test 3, bin test 3. A lot of tests that we have done. Alright, let's check if it's working fine. Yes, delete is working fine finally. So great. We are almost done with this portlet. So we need to complete our job putting some validation rules. For example, we cannot create a job if no title is given or no executable. And then the last thing that we would like to show you is how to internationalize the title, the description of the label in this form, so we can see it in another language. All right, I'll see you in the next section.